Hi, Nate.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. So Nate just sat here patiently on his phone while I tried to find an SD card that works. And anyways,
It's okay.
do you miss me?
Yeah.
Dude, what do you think of the setup?
That's pretty sick. I like it. Yeah, those lights though are like damn grow up lights. Like you got a hydro.
They do look
grow
like grow
in here,
lights
like
from
for
outside.
real.
They totally do.
Got a room with like aluminum foil around it with the lights keeping the heat in and shit, like secondary purpose.
So Nate and I shared a mic and sat 2 inches apart for like 2 years.
We're like breathing on each
We're
other.
like breathing on each other. And it was so difficult because I would sit back and then you would sit back, and it did not lend itself to a good recording experience. We made it work.
Yeah, no, I didn't complain about it.
Yeah.
It was just like what it was for the time being.
Yeah, totally. But how cool would it have been? Because like my vision was this, and then somebody on a TV.
Okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like a computer screen
like
that was bigger.
Like a monitor.
Yeah, that we could both see on Zoom.
Okay.
So I did get there, just not with you.
It's okay.
I know. So, but let's catch everybody up. Okay, so how long has it been since we recorded together?
Probably about a year.
About a year? Okay.
Yeah, about a year.
So you got a full-time job, and we were recording on Wednesday, so we weren't really able to make that work anymore.
Right.
So let's check in with you and what you've been up to since then.
Yeah. So my primary job is I manage a BIPOC grant.
Okay.
And the primary demographic is Indigenous populations.
Oh, okay. But you were doing something, weren't you doing something different for a little while? You were driving really far away, or is that still the same thing? Oh, it's still the same thing.
Still, well,
okay.
It's just like, I mean, it's pretty much like the same job. It's just like I'm focused on a certain demographic of people.
Okay.
Yeah.
But it's still that same gig.
Well, so I left a new path. And I got a job with Harm Reduction Coalition San Diego.
Okay.
And that's where I got the job, or primary job is managing that grant.
Okay. Because weren't you driving all the way down to somewhere kind of far away at first?
I'm still driving to La Mesa.
Oh, you are?
Yeah.
Okay. Did you just take today off?
No, I'm still going to go down there and get
shoot.
stuff done.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
no,
fucking I fucked that up.
Stop. It's okay. I'm not tripping.
Okay.
It's all good.
Okay. So you're still doing that.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I work from home sometimes. I go down there. Like if I got things to do, like whatever, I can make it work. I just like get stuff done.
Why is the Indigenous population so underserved?
Well, I don't want to say maybe, I don't know if that's the right language for it. I think it's more so that they're very guarded, especially with like, you know, the systemic and just like their generational trauma that they've experienced. You know what I mean?
Totally.
Like, for example, like they were like the government was giving them like infertility shots like all the way up until 1979, so they couldn't like have babies and stuff.
Really?
Yeah, you can look that up. You can fact check me on that.
What did they say it was?
I couldn't tell you. But
they lied and said something else?
Yeah, they were giving them like infertility shots until like 79.
Holy shit.
Yeah. And then like I think it's MMIW is like missing Indigenous women. So like when
that I've heard of.
Yeah.
Dude, that is the scariest, craziest thing.
Yeah.
Like when I first heard of that, and so what Nate is talking about is that like Indigenous women, am I saying that correctly?
Yeah,
Indigenous?
yeah.
Native American women go missing at like this weird rate.
It's astronomical, and like no one
cares.
No one looks for them.
Is it like various serial killers, or is it a variety of different reasons, but no one really cares?
It's a variety of reasons, and I mean historically it's been that way. I mean now like if you drive like I know I seen 2 billboards when I went out to Vegas, like in the desert for like stuff like that, and I think they either have an alert for like Indigenous, like specifically for that demographic, or they're working on it. But it's took until now, and like the rate that they get abducted or kidnapped or like whatever versus other populations is insane.
Insane. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anytime I see one of those float through, like, you know, you're always seeing things on Facebook, but I don't always respond. But anytime it's someone like that, I immediately share, because I just recently learned about this in the past couple of years. And I'm like, wait a minute, why would that even happen? That's so wild to me.
Yeah. And so there's that, trust issues, you know, like I said. And then like a lot of, if a res is not like federally recognized, they don't get like really any help. You know what I mean? So they need to be like federally recognized. And then, you know, they have like how it operates, like per cap. Do they have a casino? Like how are they bringing in money and so on and so forth. So there's a lot of things that go with there. And then like some reses, you know what I mean, respectfully, like they don't believe in Narcan. They think that, you know, if it's your time, they don't believe in Western medicine. And respectfully, like I get it, you know, I get it, you know, that's valid. And then, you know, they think like if it's your time to go, it's creators taking you, so it is what it is.
Okay.
So that's kind of how they believe, and so we have to like be mindful of that and respect that. So it's just a lot of different things, but I mean, now we know. So like that demographic of people for the longest time, like the BIPOC community in general, like their rate of overdose and fatalities was, it may even still be like the one that was like the most, like containing the most deaths.
Okay.
And now we know that Indigenous children are they were the ones, I think it was like 2020 to 2022 or 2021 to 23, like we seen that Indigenous children were most likely to lose a parent to fentanyl overdose. Okay.
And I'm sure the reasons for that are varied. What are some of the reasons for that, though?
I would say stigma within the res.
Okay.
Lack of access to resources, you know what I mean? And there's really, you know what I mean? Like on the res is just like, it's a different ball game there. You know what I mean? It's just different. Yeah. Like you can, you know, do whatever you want pretty much.
Right.
You know?
Okay. I'm
not going to say you can do it. It's just different.
It's different.
It's just different.
Right. Yeah.
And there's just like a lot of generational trauma that's just like passed down that's been probably passed down for like centuries.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And there's just like, there's a lot of healing going on. I will say that, like they're doing the things that they need to do to try and heal and like, you know, take care of their people. But it's just historically like the BIPOC community is like underserved. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
The money goes into other demographics.
I know that I spoke down at Project Recovery for Ivy actually recently.
Okay. Yeah.
And they have a whole, I don't know if you call it like a section, like part of their program that's dedicated to recovery specifically for Native Americans. And they have a different way of doing it. It's the 12 steps.
It's sobriety.
Okay, yeah. Will you explain a little bit about, because I just read it on the wall briefly. It's the 12 steps, but it's said differently. What's the difference?
I couldn't tell you off the top. I've not really been to a lot of Wellbriety meetings, but it's pretty much, I don't know who did their native programming there or developed that program, so I can't speak on that.
At Project Recovery, it's just based on whatever their 12 step is.
Okay.
So whatever that is. Is that Wellbriety? Is that what it's called?
That would be Wellbriety. Yeah, I just didn't know if they had like other, you know, are they doing ceremony? Are they like?
Okay, I guess I don't know.
You know what I mean?
But what is Wellbriety?
So it's just basically, it's pretty much like the 12 steps, but through an Indigenous lens. Like Yeah, pretty much like how they see things. Like, probably the wording's different.
It is. It says creator
instead of God. You know what I mean? And things like that. So it's probably just 12 steps, but for Indigenous populations, so it resonates with them, and it's culturally competent,
right?
You know what I mean, and uses their language,
right?
You know what I mean. So they probably get more buy-in from it.
I like what you said, through an Indigenous lens.
Yeah.
So it's some of the same principles, but through a lens that resonates and language that resonates. So what do you do for that, like when you drive out to work and when you go to what are you doing? Are you doing Narcan trainings like on the reservation, or what are you doing?
Yeah, I'll do trainings, or I'll, you know, like when you go to these things like powwows, there'll be people from like all over. I mean, like North Dakota, maybe even further east than that, you know what I mean? And sometimes like access there isn't the same as it is here. And so pretty much I network with them like, okay, like this is what we can do for you. We have like these routes, and this is how we can get you access, and da-da-da-da. You know what I mean? Like
sending them like testing strips and Narcan and that kind of thing?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I can do that. Or like, you know, this is a route to where we can like build longevity to where like you don't need me, you're self-sufficient. Okay. Or the org. You don't need the org, not me per se, but you don't need us to like provide you or me like on my own account, you know what I mean? Like we want to build like longevity to where you're self-sufficient. Okay. You know what I mean? So we can figure out ways to do that, and just navigating that. Educational things, keeping them up to like date on like educational things, or they'll ask me, they'll get me to consult, and they'll be like, oh, this person came and they did a presentation and they said we need this and this, and I'll be like, no, they're lying to you. Like, you don't, like, no.
Okay. What would a situation be in which somebody said you need this, but they really don't?
Oh, I think some dude from like, his name's Jaime. He's like from some org up north, and he was like, "Oh, you need Cloxato and da 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 da," and it's like,
what's Cloxato?
It's just like an 8 milligram version of Narcan.
Oh.
Yeah, and it's like you don't need that.
Spray?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a nasal spray.
Okay. How much is regular Narcan?
It's 4 milligrams.
Oh.
Yeah.
You don't think you need the bigger one?
I know you don't need it.
Okay, why not?
Because there's no significant clinical difference in administrations between 4 and 8 milligrams.
Okay.
Yeah. It's a grift.
All right.
It's a grift. It's like a snake oil salesman.
That's crazy, though. You would think more means more. Like in a shot, there's a difference between a 4cc shot and an 8cc. Both of those are tiny shots. But you know what I'm saying? There's a difference.
Well, here's the thing. So most people, like, they're basing it off bad data. Like, when they look at EMS data is like X amount of doses administered. You know what I mean? And it doesn't say, was it IM, was it nasal, and so on. And a lot of
IM meaning intramuscular, nasal.
Yeah, or like, or they titrated like IV or whatever. You know what I mean? So there's that. And then a lot of times they just like, they'll slam them, you know what I mean? They're like, oh, fuck this dude. It's the 4th time we've had to OD you, you know what I mean? And they're just like fucking slamming them with Narcan. Like, that's not, you can't not base research off like inadequate or insufficient administrations of that drug. If you're not following SOP, which like giving a dose, 2 doses in a minute is not SOP, so that's bad. That's bad data.
All right. Okay.
And it takes naloxone upwards of 10 minutes to have full
effect.
Yeah, full effect or full therapeutic effect. So you can't base it off that data. And also paramedics also have the capability to give oxygen, which is like the most important part. Oh. And they don't do it, like hardly ever do it. They'll even argue with us over it.
Why?
I don't know.
That's crazy.
Yeah, because like if you go to like a safe consumption, like if I go to a safe consumption right now and I just bang some dope and I overdose, they're gonna give me oxygen before they ever give me Narcan. And like I think it's 82% of the time in New York they just give oxygen.
Wow, and it works?
Yeah, they don't even have to give Narcan.
Is that because there's still a fair amount of stigma with actual paramedics? And again, we're going to say not everybody, obviously.
No, I don't think. I've met some paramedics that are like, they know what
that are very nice.
Yeah,
and cool.
Very, very nice and cool, and they know what they're talking about. You know what I mean? Like they're knowledgeable and they're not like. It trickles from the top down. So
yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
yeah, I'm sure that's true.
Yeah. So, but you know, I've met some that are like with it, like they know what's up. They like know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely like a stigma with it, and or like they just don't care. They're just like, oh, you know,
I've seen this fucking guy before.
Yeah, like you know what I mean. It's like, well, it's nothing. I don't get it. They take it personal. It's like it has nothing to do with you. Like it's not like you literally took this job. You get paid to serve people.
Yeah.
Like either show up and serve people. And be like if they overdose 20 fucking times a day, that's not fucking personal.
Right.
Like you get paid to do this.
Yeah.
Like if you don't, like go do something else. Like
yeah.
I don't know what to tell you. Like
I agree with that. Go do something else.
I've never taken it personal. You know what I mean? Like I've gave people so much stuff before and they've lost it or like it got stolen. I'd give it back to them. You know what I mean? Like whatever. You know, I'm like, it has nothing to do with me at all.
Also, it's not the objective of that role. Like you said, you took the job to serve people.
Yeah.
Serving people should not inherently have any condition attached.
Yeah. I also had like who was it? It was a fire chief that told me how he responds to overdoses. Like, if I was on the street and he responded to me, it would be different than how he responded to like some elderly person and like some, you know what I mean?
He told you that?
He told me to my face. I was at a fucking meeting and I had to bite my fucking tongue because I was representing. Was
he trying to be honest and saying like, look, man, I'll be honest with you. I would respond differently to you. Like, how did that even come up?
I think we were just talking. He was just like, oh, great presentation. And he like said some bullshit like, oh, you know, we got to give like all this stuff for fentanyl and stuff like that. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah, whatever. Because I just didn't have it in me. I'm like, dude, I argue so much.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of time, I'm like, dude.
Yeah.
He was just like, but yeah, when if it's someone of these couples over here, you know, and they like say they take an extra pill or an oxy or they're, you know, whatever, we just titrate it. And I'm like, the SOP is titration regardless.
What's titration?
That means like you can start off with 0.1 and then 0.2 and then 0.3. And so the SOP for naloxone administration for like clinical is titrate to adequate respiratory response.
Okay.
So if you're clinical, being paramedics and fire, you know, all the that's the SOP. It doesn't matter if they took fentanyl. It doesn't matter if they ate 10 Roxys.
You start with a small amount and then more and then more.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and you give oxygen.
Okay.
Like that's the SOP, and it's been the SOP.
And he was acting like, you know, this is how I do it.
Yeah, and he's like, well, it's fucking dumb.
Yeah. Well, this is why it's good that you're out there still doing this work. I know it's tireless and I know it doesn't pay a lot, but I'm glad that you're doing it. I've learned from you over the years. When we met, I just thought abstinence only.
Right. No, you're okay.
Suboxone doesn't, Suboxone isn't legit. Yeah, I believed that. I remember telling Kim, my first co-host, that she wanted to interview somebody, or not wanted to. She asked, would you interview someone that was smoking weed? And I said, no. The person used to be like a, meth addict or something.
Right.
And I said, no, we're just going to do 12-step sober people.
Right.
And over the years, my opinion has changed so much of what recovery looks like. Recovery is a recovered life.
Yeah.
And remember, we were interviewing somebody once. Her husband had overdosed. She thought somebody popped him with a needle.
Yeah.
And at the end of everything, she said something like, well, I got to go to the clinic. And she had like 4 years, got her kids back. And I always use this example. I was like, the clinic, like the methadone clinic? And she said, yeah. And I was like, okay, this is a recovered woman, right?
Yeah,
like she got her kids back.
I know which story you're talking
about. Remember I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And that was one of the times when I was like, this is a recovered life. You know what I mean? Like, that's for sure. She was like robbing the community and didn't have her children. And now she does.
Yeah.
And that's even me being a pretty like non-judgmental liberal person in the world.
Yeah.
And I still just had a different viewpoint of it, And so I'm just so grateful that you continue to like do this work. At our meeting, they've started giving out Xylazine strips too. Are you the one that gives them to?
Yeah.
Jacob's been on the show. Jacob's actually been on the show. Yeah, I could probably say it's him.
Yeah.
So is Xylazine in the supply out here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when I do outreach, they don't even like. I mean, some people that like do stimulants and stuff like that, like totally want like fatty tide strips and stuff like that.
Oh.
But like people that use like opioids and stuff, they like always asking for Xylazine test
Okay.
strips. Always.
Is it in everything or just opiates?
Well, that depends where you're at, like within the U.S. You know what I mean?
Okay.
So here we've only seen it in like opioids.
Okay.
But now if you go like further down the supply chain, like I know for sure we've seen Xylazine in like methamphetamine in East Tennessee. I'm pretty sure that's where they told me the samples came from. So yeah, the further down the supply chain you go, it touches a lot of hands. We don't know how it happens. The substances get contaminated somewhere or another.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is as a direct result of the more you tighten the law enforcement net, the more supply gets contaminated, right?
Well, yeah. Well, here's the thing. So here's what people don't understand. So do you drink coffee?
Yeah.
Do you love coffee?
I love my insane pre-workout.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Right. So
also coffee, sure.
Yeah. So if we
that sounded like a train was in our microphone.
Yeah.
Wait, is there a train station near here?
I don't think so. Maybe some like redneck fucker up here has a train horn on their truck.
That was crazy.
I know.
That's
why I stopped.
Yeah, no, that was really weird. We're not near a train.
I know.
Nikia?
Yeah.
I interviewed Nikia.
Yeah, with the dog and like paints the dog's nails and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Her.
She's dope. Yeah.
While we were interviewing, we heard a woman say, "Hey, hello." We heard it through the mics.
Does this stuff like pick up interference? You know how TVs used to pick up like airplanes and stuff like that? Did you ever have an old TV that would like pick up like airplane like chats?
No, but I know. I think I know what you mean.
I swear, like
with the bunny ears, the antennas.
Nah, this one didn't even have that. It was just like an old like 90s TV. And, like, every now and then we would hear like the.
Okay, well maybe that's what it was.
Yeah, maybe. I mean,
because I thought it was like because then later in the interview she said she had some psychic abilities.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I think a ghost just talked to us.
Yeah.
So maybe that was a ghost train horn. That was weird.
Yeah.
It sounded like the Sprinter. I'm having like a PTSD response.
Yeah.
I have like a traumatic response to the Sprinter.
Oh, that's fair.
Right.
Yeah, that's fair.
I know. Anyways.
Yeah.
What were you saying? Xylazine. Okay, this is what people don't understand. Is what you were saying.
Yeah. So you like coffee, right? I like coffee.
Yeah.
I like caffeine in general, right? And I like gnarly pre-workout. So if we prohibited coffee today, right, people would still go buy coffee. Like they would, it wouldn't make a damn. You know what I mean? So if coffee isn't stored correctly and not regulated, it produces a toxin that will kill you. Do you know that?
No.
So yeah.
Okay. So what you're saying is if people have to do what they have to do to get a product that they're going to use and it's not safe or stored correctly, this is the result. Yeah,
just,
and that's what happens to drugs.
It's just unregulated supply. This is what happens. It's par for the course. We know this. This is nothing new.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like we spend over $100 billion to interdict drugs and we don't even interdict 10% of the drugs.
I know.
You know what I mean? So it's just like...
Oh, let me ask you this while I've got you.
Yeah.
Border stuff. Okay, everybody's freaking out about the border.
Okay.
Like it brings fentanyl in. But most of the fentanyl does not come across the Mexican border, right? Am I right with that? I feel like you've told me that before.
So people think that it's people migrating bringing it. That's what the news tries to pitch, or it's people of like Latin descent or people from like other countries. But it's either like 90%, roughly 90% plus, is brought over by U.S. citizens, Caucasian U.S. citizens, through legal points of entry.
Okay. I knew it was something like that.
Yeah.
So everybody freaking out about the borders as related to the fentanyl crisis, that's reaching. That's not accurate.
Yeah, no, that's a stretch.
Right.
You know what I mean? I mean, don't get me wrong, like there's getaways, and but like
right.
I don't know if anybody's ever been to the border and seen what you have to do to cross.
It's a lot.
But you can't even pack enough food and water.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So why are you going to pack like a kilo or whatever when you can like barely even make, like,
totally.
Are you going to live? You know
totally.
What I mean? You know what
totally.
I mean? So it's just like.
Yeah. Because that's a huge narrative around here. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like the open border is what's leading to the fentanyl crisis. Yeah. And all of this would be mitigated with safe supply. Yeah. Which I know is considered this like extreme viewpoint, but it has become my viewpoint because I also know about the guy up in Canada who works, secretly, but anytime he's able to set up shop and sell safely tested substances, overdoses in those areas like disappear basically, right? Yeah. Because you know what you're actually getting.
Yeah.
Have you ever watched The Wire?
Like way back.
Okay.
Yeah.
Remember in season 3? God, my audience is probably so sick of me talking about the fucking Wire.
It's okay.
I've talked about The Wire every single episode for the past like 5 weeks because I never watched it. And I recently did. It's really good. But season 3, there's a cop who kind of goes rogue and sets up an area called the Free Zone.
Yeah.
And the people that live there call it Hamsterdam because I think it's like on an H street and they're calling it like Amsterdam.
Yeah.
And they can do whatever they want there. They can sell drugs. All the junkies can live there. This is in Baltimore. Yeah. All the junkies can live there. Like the corner boys and the sets and the crews get to do their own thing. And in the Free Zone, there's no arrest for any of that in exchange for no violence. So the sergeant told them if there's violence, this all goes away. And it worked. And then he brought in like HIV testing and services. They brought in, clean needles, and it was working. And again, I know this is a fictional TV show, but it makes sense that all of that was working. And like the moment they shut it down and they went outside the Free Zone, all these other cops came in and were just like beating the shit out of people, went back on everything they said. And then they were right back to their corners fighting over where they're supposed to be. The violence was up. The junkies were done. And again, I know it sounds extreme to have legalized areas, but that's the only thing that's going to work. And I learned that from you. Law enforcement isn't changing anything. There's never been a public health response.
If law enforcement changed public health outcomes,
it would have worked.
We would have the greatest public health outcomes out of any country.
Right, exactly.
The greatest.
Right. And so clearly it doesn't, you know?
It doesn't work,
But that's why I'm glad you still so tirelessly, do this work.
Yeah.
So enough with the heavy stuff.
Okay.
I promised the crowd, the audience, that if you came back, we would do some NDPEs.
Okay. Do you have them?
Yeah.
Okay.
So somebody sent in an NDPE, and I actually read this one in an email.
Yeah.
I read this in an intro, but everybody skips my intros. I can see the stats, and 10% of the people, there's the first 9 minutes are just skips, which is fine. I'm fine with that. So, and in this case, I'm actually glad because I think it means most people haven't heard this. So this was an NDPE that was emailed in to us when I said that you would be back for some NDPEs.
Okay.
Hey, y'all. First of all, I just want to say I love the show and I appreciate what y'all are doing. I was starting to slack on my program when I hit the year mark and I found the show. It's reminded me to never forget where I came from and that my sobriety always comes first because I can lose all the things I've gained way quicker than it took me to get them. I'm at 17 months now and still going strong. So at one point in my addiction, I was on 80 milligrams of methadone while still shooting fentanyl, and I hadn't shit in over 3 weeks and started to get scared because I had tried everything. I went to the ER and they did an ultrasound and saw that I had a huge blockage. They proceeded to bring in a specialist who told me, "This is going to suck. I'm sorry." He had me lay on my side while he stuck his fingers up my ass to break it up and pull it out. It was the worst pain I'd ever been in, and that was just the start. They then put a huge enema in me, and my stomach cramps up so bad. They were trying to get me to sit still, but I couldn't. I finally sat down on the bedpan and passed out. Like, I legit don't remember anything till I woke up and saw what had come out of me. The size of this thing was insane. I went to detox that week, LOL, but didn't get it that time. Like I said, I've almost got a year and a half now, and this is the best my life has ever been. Thank you guys for the podcast. Love y'all.
I relate so much to that. Oh my God.
Dude, so I was actually asking Skylar if he ever had any, but he was so insane, he would just get sick. So he would go ham.
Like purposely sick to like...
Not on purpose, but like, I don't know. It's weird. Even when he was using recently, like, I mean, he would try to stay on top of it, but especially when he was young, he would just get so fucked up. He wouldn't think to go get more. And so he would end up like kicking for a few days and then go to the bathroom, right? Because he was kicking.
Right.
So for him, he never really like got that bad of a one. And also, guys, NDPE, for anyone that doesn't know, is a near-death poop experience related to drug, specifically opiate constipation. Yes. And we've both shared our NDPEs. Yeah. And I asked the audience to send in some NDPs. So he wouldn't really ever have them. He would just go to the bathroom.
That's crazy.
I know. I never let myself get sick.
Yeah, I've literally been like in their shoes where I'm like, how did that come out of me?
It's the worst.
I'm like, it's traumatizing.
It's totally traumatizing.
You're like, what?
Yeah.
And like...
Well, briefly, for anyone that hasn't heard it yet, actually, why don't we'll just real quick share yours real quick.
Yeah, so I was in detox for the first time, and I don't know how long it had been since I'd had a bowel movement. I really don't remember, but I just knew that like I had to go, and like, so I'm like in the bathroom, and we like share like these two rooms. We're kind of in like, we're sharing like a bathroom, and mind you, like I'm crazy. I'm like, this is like day 6 or whatever. I remember thinking that like the things on the ceiling were like listening to me and like watching me. Like I was losing my mind. Yeah. And I was like, I had like cold chills and hot sweats, so I'd be shaking and then sweating. It was horrible. It was a really bad detox. And I just remember being on the toilet, like, and the nurse like knocked on the door. She's like, "Do you want to come get your meds?" And I'm like, "Sorry, like I'm fucking shitting a log right now. Like my bad, you know." And like, I don't think you're supposed to see like that part of your body bleed like that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, yo, like that. I was like, I'm gonna die. Like Elvis died. Like literally, like that was running through my mind. I'm like, I'm not gonna make it.
Right. Totally. Yeah. And then
I clogged the toilet.
Didn't you have to cut it up with a knife?
Yeah,
for it to actually flush. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, and again, guys, the details.
Baby spoon and a knife, and you're like...
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, mine, quickly, same kind of thing. And it was the day, and I remember it was Easter because I stole a turkey for my Connect. That's what he wanted. And he gave us a gram in exchange. So, I stole a turkey. I stole the turkey. Okay, give him the turkey, get the gram, go home, and have to go to the bathroom. And it was that same situation. I was in the bathroom for seriously like 8 hours probably, crying, thinking I'm gonna have to go to the hospital, because like I was in the no man's land where I had begun the process, so there was no way back in.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop and walk out. Okay.
No, I know. I was there. Yeah.
So my boyfriend is outside talking to me through the door, and I'm saying to him, like, I was in there so long, I'm getting dope sick, and I'm saying to him, like, because I know him. And I'm like, there's going to be some left for me, right? And he's like, yeah, of course. Because like I did the work for it. I finally thought to fill up the bathtub halfway with hot water because it was right next to me, and then get into it. And that softened everything. And I was able to, get it out, move on with my life. And when I walked out, he had done all the dope.
Oh, checks out. That totally checks out.
And I was in there long enough that I'd gotten sick. And I was so fucking annoyed. I actually had a connect who used to, one of the things that like someone would have to do, he would get like a younger kind of girlfriend that he would just keep supplied with heroin. But one of the dark sides to the relationship was you would have to get with him in the bathtub with a baby spoon and spoon it out of his booty. These girls, that was part of their life.
Like you could just take like an enema and like not have to do that.
Maybe he didn't know that.
How the fuck do you not know that?
Because I didn't know that till you just said that. Can you just get an enema? I mean, I know of laxatives.
Fucking Rite Aid and get an enema.
Well, see, I didn't know that. I didn't know. There's so much I was naive about, like with that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I didn't know that happened. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't even think I put it together until later that's why that even happened, that it was related to doing dope.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think I just thought it was crazy. And then later in rehab, when I was like hearing about it, I was like, oh, right. That's why that almost like killed me that time, you know?
Yeah.
Okay. So we have another one too. So this is a voicemail.
Okay.
Make sure I can play it. Hold on. So this is from Christina, y'all, who has also been on the show before.
Hey everyone, it's Christina. I'm so happy to be back on the show, even if it is just to share with you guys my near-death poop experience. I basically gave birth to a bright blue bowling ball of poop. And I'm going to tell you how I got there. So this was over 10 years ago. And this was at a point in my life where I would go out and do a few dates, come back with just enough dope to stay well for the night, and I would nod out all night and eat cereal. Wake up, make a bowl of cereal, do more dope, eat more cereal, and fall back asleep. Like, what a freaking exciting life. Not. It's just crazy to me that I literally sold my body so that I could go home and eat cereal and nod out. It's just crazy how far I've come. But anyways, so I had been eating Fruit Loops for days. That was literally the only thing that I was eating. And so one day, I was probably 23 or 24, got the gnarliest cramps, and I realized that it had been at least a week and a half, if not 2 weeks, since I had gone to the bathroom. And so the cramping was unreal. I ran to the bathroom and for the next 4 or 5 hours sat in the toilet, literally trying to push. It felt like a bowling ball was trying to come out of me. Like, it was wider than it was long, I think, and it was so freaking dry that it was just not moving. There was nothing I could do that was going to make it move. So unfortunately, I had to do the disgusting thing that I'm sure we've all had to do when we've come to this. I put a condom on my finger and reached up there just to try and break it up a little bit. But you know what? I'm going to teach you guys a trick. This was before I learned that you can push on your perineum if you are in this situation. I don't know if it's called a perineum for men and women, but this is basically the spot between your vagina and your butt. So if you press on that, it will help the poop come out. I didn't know that. And so that's how I relieved all my other NDPEs. But this one in particular was just so memorable because it was bright freaking blue due to all the food dye in the generic Fruit Loops. I wasn't even eating Fruit Loops. I was eating the generic kind, which I don't know. I think they taste better. I don't know. I'm sure that's like disgusting to some people, but it's kind of funny. I'm sure anyone that was ever a heroin or fentanyl addict has gave birth to a poop baby. And yeah, I'm glad I don't have to live like that anymore.
That's hilarious.
That's hilarious.
It was blue. Yeah. I didn't know the perineum thing either.
I didn't know it either.
I'd never heard of that.
Baby spoon and knife.
Yeah, well, there you go, Nod Pod, if you ever need.
Yeah. Or just go steal an enema. Well, whatever.
Is an enema like, it's like a douche that goes up your booty, or something you drink?
No, it's just like, I think it's like it's like a cream or something like that. Sometimes it's like a capsule or something like that. I think it's a cream though, but you can buy enemas at like Rite Aid for sure. I know this 100%.
Okay.
Or like if you have to like grab it in unconventional ways, like whatever.
Right.
But
at least she covered her hands with a condom. That's not even that bad.
Yeah.
I didn't think to do that.
Yeah. No.
Nope.
No.
I didn't have a condom on me.
Yeah. No. That's that resonates. Yeah. It resonates.
Okay, so NDPEs, and then the other thing we were going to talk about today is crazy sober living experiences.
I've got those.
Yeah. So I know you've got one that you wanted to share from when you were a house manager.
Yeah.
And I have one too. So I'll start with mine. But I want to say this. I make all of my reels about sober living, and sometimes people on social media will comment, this is why I don't ever want to live in one. Fuck that. You know what I mean? That's never worked for me. So, sober livings, in my opinion, can be incredibly valuable. It's like bartending or serving. Serving, being a waiter, is like the most difficult work ever. But the people you work with are insanely hilarious. It's like this weird dysfunctional family and crazy shit happens, but you will never laugh as hard as you do in your life working in a restaurant or bartending, even though the work is a grind. To me, sober living dynamics are like that also. Like, yeah, it's crazy, but I'm so glad that I lived in one. You know what I mean? It was really helpful for me. It's not ideal to share a room or whatever the fuck, but like, you know, so I just want to start this with that qualifier, right? With this disclaimer. I think sober living can be really helpful, especially when you're as bad as we were.
Yeah.
Like, I needed to be surrounded by people that were also in recovery. If I just found a room off Craigslist and they didn't know what I was up to, I would have still been using. Right. Do you know what I mean? I needed to live with people that kind of held me accountable, because I did always get caught. Like, I would be using in a sober living, but I got caught. Like, it didn't last longer than a month before I would get caught and kicked out. You know what I mean? So like, it was helpful for me. So this is one of the times I was in sober living, but I was not yet sober. So my roommate and I, there were 4 of us in a room, and 2 of the women were much older. And one of these ladies, her name was Maureen, and she was like 75, like older. And she always just wore like these like black smocks and kind of shuffled around, and had like really wispy white hair, and she wore a backpack, and she had actually been sober for a while, so I'm not really sure why she was living there. I think, you know, I'm not really sure, but she was very difficult to live with. Like, she was always on our ass. She was always giving us a hard time. She was just like this really cranky old lady. And my roommate and I were actually smoking heroin in the bedroom, in the sober living bedroom. And we thought that they were going to be gone all day. And I forget if it was her or if it was me. I think it was me. I literally took like the biggest inhale, and right that second, the door opened and Maureen came like shuffling in, and we were like 10 feet inside from the door, and she was walking so slow that I was doing my best to hold my breath, because I had a lung full of heroin smoke, and I was like, and I had the tinfoil and like put it behind my back, and the girl and I were looking at each other, and Maureen walks in, and I'm like, and she's walking, and it takes her so long. I feel like I'm going to like die from breath. And so right as she was passing me, literally she's like here. I was like, and heroin smoke just like completely, I was so much smoke, I feel like she was like blurred from view for a second, and the other girl was like, I just looked at her, and Maureen didn't even blink. She just kept going right through the heroin smoke to her bed. And as soon as she passed, I was looking at my friend, we were both like, and I was like, hey Maureen, and she was like, hey girls, and just like walked to her bed, and we were both like like the whole room's filled with like heroin smoke, and she had no idea. And I will never forget that as long as I live.
Oh my God.
I know. Right that second. Anybody else would have been past. It wasn't that far, but it took her so long. It was like, shh, shh, shh. And I remember I was like, and right then, it was crazy. So that was a using sober living story. But again, to be clear, I'm the fuck up in that scenario. I still think sober livings are good places to be.
I appreciated my time there. It was annoying, but it helped me.
It's annoying, but it helps.
Yeah, it definitely helped. Yeah, stability.
Yes.
It creates stability.
Yes.
For sure.
And it's cheap. And usually you can't afford a lot, right? Like my last sober living was $300 at first when I was on the couch. And then when I wanted to move into a room, it was $500.
Yeah.
And I think it would be hard to find something that cheap now, but it would still be like $750 or something. Yeah. Whereas an apartment out here is going to be fucking $2,000 for a room.
Yeah.
It's so insane.
Yeah.
Dude, they just raised our rent here for the first time. So annoying.
Nuts.
It's so fucking expensive out here.
I know.
And we want to buy a house.
No,
we're nowhere near buying one, but if we ever can,
insane.
You know. So, anyways, okay. So, what's your sober living story?
So, I'm a house manager, right? And so I'm house managing, and I can't remember. It's probably like my first few months doing it. You know what I mean? I go to the bathroom, and I think I lift the lid on the toilet, right? And I immediately knew that there was jizz all over my hand. I'm like, what the fuck? Like,
how did you know immediately?
It was cold and slimy. I'm like, what the fuck else could it be? You know what I mean? I'm like, what the fuck? And I'm like, I'm like, I didn't know what I was going to do. I was like, am I going to fucking like hit somebody? Like, what the fuck do I do? And so just immediately knew it. I didn't even like clean it off. I didn't wipe my hands off. I walked into the living room and I was like, excuse me, can I have your fucking attention, please? And I like turned the TV off. I was like, yo, if you're going to like jerk off in the bathroom, like clean the goddamn toilet. Like, I get it. You're in here, whatever. You know what I mean? I get it. But I was like, I've been in 10 fucking sober livings, probably more, and I've never had fucking jizz on my fucking hand, dude. I was like, clean the fucking toilet. Like, have some etiquette, like some manners. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? Who does that and doesn't clean the toilet?
Oh my god.
Yeah, and I just like all on my hand and shit, and I'm like just waving it at him because I was fucking furious. I didn't even care because it's already on my hand. Like,
oh my god. Could you tell who it was by how they reacted?
No, somebody admitted to it.
Oh,
yeah,
they did?
Yeah, they admitted to it. Yeah.
Right then?
No, afterwards. Yeah, they admitted to it.
Oh my god, what did he say?
He was like, yo, that was me. Like, I did it. Like, I don't know what I was like, all right, well, like, dude, like, I get it. You're like locked in a sober living. You're in fucking treatment. You know what I mean? I don't know how long it's been since you've been late or like.
I think it's hilarious he admitted it.
Yeah.
That's kind of funny.
Yeah, and I was like, dude, like whatever. But I was like, that's fucking disgusting and nasty. I was like, dude, I've been in sober livings. I've been in more sober livings than I've been in places of my own.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Never had that happen.
I've never had that happen. Like, it's like clean the fucking toilet. Like, you know what I mean? It doesn't matter if you don't think you got to drop on there. Like, just wipe it. Have some courtesy.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah, it was fucking insane. Yeah.
Dude, another same place where I was. I walked up when I was moving in, and there was this guy sitting outside the office who I didn't know yet, older guy, and he had sunglasses on. And based on the way that he was sitting, I assumed he was blind. He also kind of looked like Stevie Wonder. So maybe I just made that association. So he was sitting outside, staring ahead like he was blind with sunglasses on. And this guy was older. He's probably in his 60s. He'd gotten a hold of, you know, that tax service place where they'll wave a sign out front and they're wearing a Statue of Liberty.
Yeah, like Liberty Tax or
Liberty Taxes or something.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
He had on one of those.
Okay.
And I found out later that he was just like pretty like mentally ill.
Okay.
And he was, without saying her name, you know, the last sober living I was at, right? It's very well known.
Yeah.
And there was the guy and the girl that kind of ran it. It was her uncle, the girl.
Okay, yeah.
It was her uncle. So he was mentally ill, but she volunteered to like take care of him. So he came and lived there, and his name was Junior, and he would sit outside. And like I said, when I walked up, I assumed he was blind, and he was just staring straight ahead. And then at some point I said something, and all of a sudden he turned and looked at me, and I remember just being like, oh my God, like I thought that guy was blind. And learned that he was very, very, very mentally ill. Like, didn't make a lot of sense when he was talking, whatever. And this one guy, Donnie, was working on his car outside, and he hadn't met Junior yet. And the way that Donnie told this story later was he had his hood popped, and he was like checking the oil or something. And Junior walked up, and Donnie kind of glanced up, didn't know him yet. He had his sunglasses on, and he said, oh, that needs to be right there. And Donnie was like, he sounded so sure. And I said, oh, really? And he was like, yep. And so Donnie like unscrewed something and like moved it somewhere else in the car. And then Junior again was like, that ain't right at all. And he was pointing at something in the car, and he was like, that's bad. And Donnie was like, where? What? Like, what's going on with the car? And he kept saying something, and then finally Donnie looked at him and like realized that he also had on like a Statue of Liberty crown. And he was like, and he looked him up and down, and he was wearing like one Croc and one flip flop, and all of a sudden he was like, oh my God, this guy's fucking totally insane. Like, why am I listening to this guy talk about him? And then the girl whose uncle it was came running out, and she was like, Junior, get back inside. And he kind of like shuffled off, and Donnie was like, holy shit, I almost let that guy like fucking take out my transmission. Like, I totally believed everything that he was saying. Isn't that funny?
Yeah.
And then he realized who he was.
I would have just humored him.
Yeah. Well, I think, I mean, at first he was like, he sounded very sure.
Yeah.
I thought he was a mechanic, you know?
Yeah, I would have just kept humoring him. Yeah. I wouldn't have took my transmission out, but I would have, you know what I mean? I would have humored him just like.
But I think sober livings are just like the craziest places. The most bizarre shit happens. Like, you can't even believe it.
Yeah. Oh, I have another story.
Okay, go.
Do you know when like everything went down at the White House, right?
Like what? Like which thing?
Like when they stormed the White House or whatever. Like,
oh yeah, January 6th.
Yeah, January 6th. So we had a client that lived in my house that went there.
To the insurrection?
Yeah. Yeah, we had a client that went there, and he was talking about going and all that stuff, and I was like, dude, it was COVID, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I pretty much house managed for like 2 years.
Yeah, I remember that.
The most of that time was like during COVID, and this was like right before I left. And this dude was just like a pain in my ass, you know what I mean? And I was like, dude, he like went with his mom too or some shit like that. And I was like, dude, I don't even care. I told him, I was like, you probably shouldn't go do this or whatever or do anything stupid. But I was like, I'm not going to stop you. You know, maybe
But you also no one knew yet that it was going to be that. Because what you would have said then is, I'm going to the inauguration.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Yeah, the inauguration. Yeah. And so I was like, I don't, you know, but he was talking about, I was like, whatever, dude. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not going to give you my energy. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care. Like, you know. And so he ended up like getting into the White House and like all that
Bullshit.
Yeah. No, there's pictures of him in the White House and stuff like that. I believe like if you're gonna do like criminal things, you like at least be fairly like intelligent, like some critical thinking.
Keep it to your close friends list on Instagram, you're saying?
Yeah, exactly.
For example.
Yeah, exactly. I probably shouldn't even do that, to be honest. But like,
who's on it? A lot?
No, very few people.
All right, okay.
Very
well, I'm
few.
on it.
Yeah, but I knew you were gonna say that.
Keep it to your close friends on Instagram story. Got it.
Yeah, and so he like broke it, like whatever happened, like he got in. I think like they had pictures of him with a ladder and stuff like that, and like he didn't cover his face.
Oh my gosh.
And then when he did cover his face, he used his shirt, right? And those tattoos were documented. They were documented within the prison system. So when they searched those tattoos, they pulled his record. You know?
Oh, whoa.
Yeah, so they documented those tattoos when he was like down and doing time and stuff like that. So this fool ends up like getting straight up arrested. Like they were like, you know what I mean? They knew what.
At Sober Living? Did he come back to the Sober Living?
He came back after that, and then he like left shortly after, like maybe a couple months down the road or whatever. But like they did an investigation. They knew what Sober Living had said. Like this is like you can Google this. Like,
oh, that's crazy.
You can Google this and like it's there and shit like that. And ended up getting arrested. Like I think he was on probation. This fool showed up for probation and got jammed up. I'm like, man.
He went to probation while they were looking for him for that?
I think so. I'm pretty sure that's how he got arrested.
Wow.
He like got jammed up at probation. Yeah.
Did he stay sober through that?
I don't know if he's sober now. I'm not 100% sure.
Wow.
I'm not 100% sure.
I never knew that story.
Yeah, but so he went there and like did a bunch of reckless stuff and got jammed up.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but he came back and was like bragging and like running his mouth and like showing videos and like whatever. But I'm pretty sure like somebody like called like some number.
Right. Yeah.
Because people weren't fond of him.
Okay.
You know what I mean? It's like, he like just did it to himself.
Yeah. Dude, that day, I don't know why this stands out to me, but that day I went to my studio.
Yeah.
And in a way, this makes me really happy, but like it was just crazy. I walked in, you know how Cybrid became, everybody just like went there as refuge, which is what I wanted.
Yeah.
And not everybody was working that day. It was a Wednesday. What are you laughing at?
No, I was just thinking about what you said earlier. I was just like, it's funny.
Which part? Oh, about your Instagram story?
Yeah, I was just like, motherfucker.
Well, we're going to talk about all that too.
I know.
So I showed up and not everybody was working. But when I got there, like everyone's cars were there, all the girls. And I walked in and like the lights were on in the lobby. And I remember the space heater was like plugged in behind the desk. And I noticed that because I was the owner and I was crazy about the bills. And so the first thing I was like, fuck. So I turned it off. And then I walked into our big room and all of the women that worked there were there just staring at the TV. And they had turned like the TV where the heart rate monitor's on. You could also stream like CNN. And they were all watching it together, like kind of huddled near each other. And I must have been driving as it started. And so I was like, what's going on? And one of them was like, look. And I walked over and looked and I saw like, it was like a movie, like people hanging like in that, where they do the State of the Union and stuff. Yeah. Like in Congress or whatever it's called, like in the Senate. And I remember just standing there watching it with them. And it just felt like this crazy moment in time. But I also remember being so proud that they wanted to like be there as their refuge, you know?
Yeah.
But anyways, back to your illegal Instagram stuff. Okay, so what I really wanted to talk to you about was I was very happy to hear when we spoke again a few months ago. I mean, we always have texted and communicated. But at some point, and I asked Nate ahead of time if I could share this, and he said, sure, of course. Yeah. At some point last year, you chose to drink again socially.
Yeah.
And I knew that. And we have a mutual friend who said, because I said, how's that going? Is he okay? Because, you're an addict.
Yeah.
And she said, yeah, he seems fine. And it went on for a few months. And I remember thinking, okay, that's fine. And I assumed you had continued drinking socially this whole time.
Yeah.
And then when I spoke to you recently, you mentioned going to a meeting.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, wait, are you doing like sobriety again? And you are.
Yeah.
And what I want to talk about is the fact that nothing crazy did happen with the drinking.
No.
And so I have two questions. I guess one, what made you want to kind of drink casually? And two, when there weren't any consequences, what made you want to stop and get back into sobriety with a sponsor and all that?
I don't know. I mean, I think I just like made the decision that I like wanted to drink, and like it was like, I don't even know, maybe like a year before that, maybe or so, I'd like drink, I had like had casual drinks and nothing ever come of it, and so I just like wanted to, like, I don't know.
Okay.
And probably stress too, was a lot of that, and I just like needed a way to like decompress, you know what I mean? So probably that too. And I mean, honestly, I don't know, I was just kind of like burnt on it, you know what I mean? I was like, why am I doing this? Like, it's not even
on recovery.
Yeah, so I was definitely burnt on recovery. I was definitely like copped like so many resentments in like the last 2 years. Like, it's bad, and wasn't really like doing anything to like fulfill myself or to like take care of that stuff. And it was just compounding. You know what I mean? It was hard because like I didn't feel like I could go to the rooms anymore. You know what I mean? Because I was like just so mad and like resentful. And I was just like, fuck these people, you know what I mean? Like, I'll just do it my way or like figure it out or whatever, you know what I mean? So I didn't feel like I could go there, and I didn't know what else to do. I just like, I felt like I didn't like belong anymore. And like, I don't know, like sometimes I wish I was still ignorant in some areas of my life, because like once you know stuff, like I can't unknow it. And it's hard for me to like participate in a sense. You
mean about individuals in the program or about stuff about the program?
Stuff about the program, both, you know what I mean? And so I was like, fuck, dude, I just felt like I couldn't go anymore. And like I would try and I would go and I would just like get angry and like be worse off, you know what I mean? And like I really didn't know what to do. Yeah. And so I was just like pretty much like, yeah, I'm gonna drink and it's gonna be fun and it'll probably help me relax. And it did. It was cool. I guess it served a purpose. Yeah. You know what I mean? But yeah, it was never crazy. It was never like nothing bad happened. Yeah. You know what I mean? And wasn't like an everyday thing. Like there was times where I would drink on like a Monday or a Tuesday, you know what I mean? But then I would stop, or I'd just drink on a weekend or like whatever. And then like in January, I was just like, I don't want to drink anymore, and so I just stopped. Okay. And then I started doing some reflecting and like just realized that probably like 2 years ago, probably like that was probably when I realized like how I'd been like the happiest and how like I had dealt better with life, you know what I mean, and was like able to navigate life better. And I realized that I was happier when I was like not using substances, and I was happier and like I dealt with life better when I had some sort of like spirituality in my life, you know what I mean? And so I was like, okay, fuck. And that was like a hard pill to swallow. It's annoying. Yeah, right? It's annoying because I feel like I couldn't fucking go to to meetings anymore. And totally. Like, you know what I mean? So I was like, okay, what am I gonna do? You know what I mean? So I was like, I called a dude and I was like, hey dude, like this is what's up. Like, you know what I mean? I was like, I'm not doing 90 and 90. Like, you know, I told him straight up, like, this is where I'm at. This is what I'm gonna do. And like, if you don't like it, like that's fine. Like, I'll call somebody else. Like, you know what I mean? Like, but this is like where I'm at. Like, I can be flexible with you. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like. And then so I started working steps again. I go to like
So he met you where you were. He said, that's fine. I'll work with you.
Yeah. He's known me for like years. Okay. You know what I mean? Like.
Okay. So when you called this guy, what did you say you were willing to do, like meeting wise? What did you say?
Yeah. So I told him I would try out meetings. I'd go to like one or two. I was like, I'll go to HA. You know what I mean? And I was like, if the meeting sucks, like I might say my piece or whatever, and then I'm going to leave and go do art or something like that. Go find something, go do something that like serves me better than this. You know what I mean? Because I was like, I'm not going to sit there and be miserable.
And he said, that's fine with
He's
me.
like, that's fine. He was like, do what you got to do. He's like, I get it. You know what I mean?
And then you started working steps again as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You always tend to do well with that.
Yeah.
Was that your experience again this time? I feel like in the years that I've known you, when you do step work, you always have insights, and I see growth, or I hear about growth from you. Did you have that experience again this time?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It's just been, there's been so much stuff that's like came into like fruition, you know what I mean? Just like seeing stuff like that I'd never like really seen before, and I don't know.
Like what? Anything you could share or?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I'll just tell you right now. So I'm just like looking at like my life and right now, and I'm just, it's like somebody that goes to like CODA, like they like fucked me up with this question, and they were like, "Why do you do what you do?" And I was like, "Well, I know my why. Like everybody knows my why." And she was like, "I'm not talking about that." She was like, "Why do you do what you do? Why do you give the way that you give? Is it for your clout? Is it for ego?" And da 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 da. And she was like, why do you do what you do? And I was like, damn. And then I started thinking, I was like, okay, it's like I give to a lot of people, but I always typically get the short end of the stick. You know what I mean? Because I give up like so much of my time for like people that I barely even know, and like, you know what I mean? Like I rarely ever get compensated, which is not about the money, but like there's some shit that I should definitely be getting compensated for. And I was like, that's pretty fucked up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What was the answer you came to on that?
I don't fucking know.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't fucking know. I'm still pondering on it. I'm like, why? You know, I don't fucking know why. Yeah. Like I know,
you know what I think it is? I think that deep down, and I think this because this is true for me too.
Yeah.
I don't ask for money for things too. It's dumb. Like stuff that my girlfriends will get paid to do. I don't. And I can justify influencing stuff. Yeah. And I can justify it by saying, well, I don't have as many followers. But one of my friends who has 500,000 was like, that's bullshit. You have an engaged audience. Somebody could see your ad and download 30 of the things just like mine. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah. And I know that she's right.
Yeah.
I think it's because deep down, I don't actually think I would be worth it or my stuff.
Yeah.
And I've never wanted to say that or believe that. Like I'm always like, no, it's not imposter syndrome, blah, 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 blah. Do you think it could be that for you too? You actually don't think you're worthy of
it could be
$100,000 a year.
Yeah, it could be. Well, no, I mean, I know what I'm worth definitely within my career field. You know what I mean?
But you don't ask for it.
Well, I've tried.
Okay.
I've tried. Yeah, I mean, I've tried, and it's just, I've gotten raises, you know what I mean? But either outside of that with like my own stuff, you know what I mean? Like there's some things like, like I'll show up to events just so like this other org like won't get it, you know what I mean? Just to like, I do that like spitefully, you know what I mean? And
wait, so so another organization won't get it?
Yeah.
Okay, even though you're not getting paid for that.
Yeah. Okay. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, so I'm just like trying to figure out like, is there a better way to like go about things? Like what if I just give people supplies and let them do it? What if, you know what I mean? So I'm just I'm kind of like rethinking like all of this, how I move, how I do everything, like all that stuff. And like, yeah, I definitely think like there's imposter syndrome, but I definitely like know my value too. And it's just like I've told people straight up, like, I'm not, they try to say like, this isn't a consultation. And I'm like, I will like screenshot the definition of a consultation. I'm like, this is a fucking consultation.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like you're either going to pay me or like, like, I don't know what to tell you. Like I'm not giving you like a fucking hour of my time.
Yeah, totally.
And so like, you know what I mean? So it's just like trying to navigate that and just figure out like, hey, what are my boundaries with this now? Like, what am I willing to do? What am I not willing to do? And like some cool shit's like came up, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going to start an LLC for like consultation. Like that's,
good.
That's in the process. Yeah. So I can get paid or whatever. And then I did a pitch deck for like a 3-day EDM festival.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So did you already submit it?
I submitted it.
Damn, that's a really good idea.
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So I mean, my resume's fucking banging.
Yeah,
you know
of course.
What I mean? And and so I'm gonna make them pay me. There's no like they can like kick rocks. You know what I mean? Like they'll just be like, okay, you can go get some shitty org that like doesn't know what they're talking about. Yeah.
Park City Music Festival is coming up.
Yeah.
I know it's a music festival. I feel like it's sober related too.
Yeah.
Maybe reach out to them.
Okay.
I think they've got a lot of money. Like it's a big event.
Yeah, no, I'll do it for sure.
Maybe pitch them to you, because once you make a pitch deck for one event, you use it for everything.
Yeah, you can just send it. Yeah, resume. Yeah, and I mean, so
where are you at with meetings and going? And did you find one that you did like? By the way, our Saturday HA is really good.
Okay, yeah. No, I've been over there. I live right across the street.
Yeah. We go there pretty regularly.
That's crazy because when I started going, I haven't seen you guys since I started. I know. You guys have not been there.
I know.
But,
well, no, we're there all the time. You're not there.
What you mean? I went there like 3 times since I started going to meetings and never seen you.
Really?
Swear.
Skylar has a commitment. We go almost every Saturday.
Really?
The Saturday 7:30?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we go all the time.
Yeah, for real. Oh,
damn. Yeah.
I don't even know.
Occasionally we miss it. Maybe like once every 7 weeks we might miss one because I'm trying to monitor his exhaustion levels.
Yeah.
Which I know, speaking of coda, like I shouldn't do.
Right. Well.
But you know what I mean? He will over fucking work himself.
Yeah.
And do everything for everybody and get home and think, I want to go to the meeting. And he's been pouring concrete since 6 a.m. in fucking Mira Mesa in the hot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, just take a second. I think we should skip. Do you want to skip? And if he says, yeah, then we do. So anyways, point being.
Okay. Yeah.
But we do go there. But that's a great one. But where have you found to go?
So I just go to HA. Or I go to HA on like Friday. I don't really hit Saturday.
Oh, the Friday.
Yeah, I don't really hit Saturday.
That's too late for us.
Yeah. I'll hit that.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
That's a good meeting.
Yeah, or like sometimes I'll go to Saturday. It just depends on how I feel, or I'll go to like Refuge and stuff like that.
Yes,
so
they've started that.
That's the one I go to.
Okay, Kevin started that. How's it going?
It's pretty sick.
Kevin, who was on the show recently, dude, his episode was so good, which I should have known it would be, but he said something that is still with me. He said that all a miracle is a shift in perspective. Like for me, the shift in perspective that my addiction was the best thing that ever happened to me, as opposed to this awful thing that I should be really embarrassed about. It's something I'm very proud of and grateful for. It's a miracle that I shifted my perspective on that. He's right. That's a miracle. And I love that way of looking at a miracle, that it's a shift in perspective. And he was like, the fact, because he had a really hard time with, and I've never had anybody respond this way or that I've heard of. After he did his fifth step, he got really mad at the guy, like furious. Like he read his 4th step and then the guy said, all right, well, I think they prayed.
Yeah, you pray and meditate for like whatever.
And then it was over.
Yeah.
And he was so fucking angry. He thought, and I think he felt so much guilt about it because he ran these people over in his car and one of them got paralyzed and like a bunch of shit happened. And he was like, that's just one of the people that I've seriously hurt. You're telling me go home and just pray about it? Like, how is that the solution here? I think he just felt so fucking bad. It just didn't feel right. But he had a perspective shift when he went home that was the drugs, not him. And he had this, and I feel like all of these shifts we have seem so obvious sometimes to other people, because to me that's quite obvious, but obviously for him it wasn't. Like that was the drugs, not him.
Right. Yeah.
And he was able to like release that stuff. And he said a shift in perspective is a miracle, and I love that idea.
Yeah, I agree with that.
You know, isn't that cool?
Well, I think all of it's a perspective shift, to be honest with you.
What, like recovery?
Yeah,
for sure.
Yeah.
In what way do you mean?
Every way.
Yeah.
Every way, yeah. I mean, before, like, you don't think anything's obtainable, so you just, like, do substances, and then you have, like, well, maybe it's possible, you know what I mean? Because my definition of recovery is just, like, any positive change, and so in order to have a positive change, you might have to have a shift in perspective.
Right. Yeah, that's true. You have to believe it's possible.
Yeah.
You have to even believe.
Yeah.
So meetings, sometimes, steps, what... Are you working out? Are you meditating? What does that stuff look like?
Yeah, so I work out like 5-6 days a week.
Okay.
I go on hikes.
Okay. Are you doing the hiking thing yet?
Yeah, I'll go on hikes every now and then. I've been kicking it over on the east side where they're like painting that mural and stuff like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oceanside?
Yeah.
East side? Okay.
Yeah, over on the east side. Because my homie's like coordinating all that, so I go over there and kick it with him. Stuff like that, just kind of kick it. And then art.
And art.
Yeah.
So you're doing art, and you voluntarily told me a few weeks ago that you do know that one of the things that you're doing that you think is not, it's a bit of a maladaptive behavior thing.
Yeah.
Like you enjoy it, but you don't think it's great for you. I don't want to go so far as to call it a vice, but you're doing this thing that provides an adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
And you do think like, okay, maybe I'm leaning a little bit too much on that. Do you want to talk about that at all? Or what do you want to say about that?
Oh, yeah. I don't know if it's maladaptive, but it's, I mean, it definitely gives me an adrenaline rush, you know what I mean? And I've always been interested in it, you know, in the art of it and the process. It's always like intrigued me and stuff like that. And it's a huge rush. It definitely, you know, the riskier, the more adrenaline, the more dopamine you get.
The riskier of the location?
The riskier the location.
Okay.
You know what I mean? Like the more adrenaline, your heart's just pounding.
Okay.
You get dopamine, and then you're like, you know what I mean? Then you get done or whatever, and you're just like, oh shit.
You gotta run.
Well, not even, it just depends, you know what I mean? But it's just like, there's so many factors that like go into it, you know what I mean? And it's just like, I mean, for one, I enjoy art. I enjoy like creating art and like making it, and just like the process of it. It's almost like ritualistic in a sense.
Okay.
But it's also just like all these factors and like pretty much like it just gets me out of like the mental anguish because I like have no other choice but to be present and focused on focused on what I'm doing, because there's so many outside factors besides what I'm doing that I have to be present for.
Okay.
Or like,
because you've got this thing here that you're doing, but you also have to be aware if there's anything around you, right?
Exactly, because depending on
the location,
there's consequences to things.
Right. Yeah.
Depending on where you're at, and like if you're not respectful and things like that, like there's consequences
beyond legal consequences. There are cultural consequences. Got it. Okay.
Consequences.
Conflict.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Like territorial conflicts.
That, yeah, for sure that, and just like, you know what I mean, or you can just be with somebody that's got beef with somebody else, you know what I mean, and just because they're there, you're amongst it, you know what I mean? Like, you're gonna get it, you know what I mean? So it's just how it is.
Yeah. How do you decide where you're gonna go?
I just look.
Like drive around?
Yeah.
And look?
Just,
okay.
If that, walk, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Just see it there. Sometimes it's just on a whim.
Okay. Have you seen those towers in downtown LA?
Yeah.
How do people get up real high?
I don't know.
Rappelling?
Oh, could be.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And are they doing it in the middle of the night? Hypothetically?
Yeah, it could be.
Okay.
But I mean, some people don't give a shit, and they'll just do it broad day, like, you know what I mean?
Hypothetically?
God
damn it.
Yeah, hypothetically. Yeah. Yeah.
So, do you have any interest in altering that behavior or not really?
No.
All right.
It's something that like I always wanted to do growing up, and then it kind of just happened, and it's just like I don't really, you know what I mean? I'm not gonna like it. I'm not changing it. You know?
I wish there was like is there any recognition for it anywhere officially? Like you'd think there would be some some off-brand, not off-brand, but some like low-key independent award.
Nah, I mean it's just like you just respecting the culture.
In the culture, yeah.
And like I mean you can like, you know what I mean, go to competitions and do that.
Oh, okay. But that takes away the thrill of it probably for you.
Yeah, well, it's still fun to like do that and just, you know, the process of it and all that, but it's really just like being known and just like respect is like the main thing with it. Yeah.
I think teaching spin serves that exact same purpose because I have to be present and there's a bunch going on at once. I think that's why I was so drawn to it in the first place.
Yeah.
So it's super high adrenaline, especially when I started adding pre-workout to the mix. Plus, I have to talk and say things and hear the music. And like where I'm at now and at my studio, there's lights that I'm working. There's like a lot happening. I have to be out of my head. You know?
Yeah. So that's how it is for me. Like I just like it forces me to like get out of my head and I have to focus on what I'm doing. Yeah. Because I want to make good art. Yeah. But if I don't, like the consequences can be.
Oh, really? If you leave a shitty.
No, not even that. Like not even if I do like shit art. Oh, okay. You know what I mean? Not even
if you're not paying attention, there are consequences.
If I'm not paying attention, the consequences for that could be pretty bad.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So just depending on where you're at.
Yeah. Any other like meditation practices right now with you?
Sometimes I meditate. It just depends. Sometimes I meditate. I definitely like practice some indigenous practices. And stuff.
Oh, you do? Yeah. Oh, that's really cool.
So I do some things like that with them. And I don't know. I'm not really on social media anymore that much. Like I don't really utilize it. I don't know. Yeah. It's kind of just like kind of burnt on it. You know what I mean? I'm just like taking a break from it. Like I'll post every now and then.
Yeah.
Like, I was on the news the other day, so I posted whatever. But
It burns me out too.
Yeah, it's just fucking.
I have to do it because of this shit, but I get very.
I'm just burned on it.
Bummed out about it.
I'm just burned on it. I have no interest. I'm like, dude, I'm not taking the time to do this. Like, I could just be doing so much other things. You know what I mean? So, yeah, I'm like not really doing that right now. Maybe I'll get interest in it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just exhausting. And then people like. And another thing, like people think that like just because like I put like a minute and a half video, which takes like way longer to make that video, you know what I mean? But they think because I do that I want to give them an hour of my time to like consult them or like answer their and it's fucking annoying.
Yeah.
And it's just like and I get it, but it's like I have never went to somebody unless like I knew them and we had that relationship and asked them for things like that without offering them some sort of compensation. It may have like not been like their rate, you know what I mean? But I gave them what I could afford,
right?
You know what I mean?
Or you at least offer and ask.
Yeah, offer and ask. And so that shit's just like whacked me. It's wild, and it's just like it like eats me.
You should set up an automatic response in your DMs that says, hey, I'll get back to you shortly. In the meantime, if you're looking for a consultation,
go here, click this link.
Here are my rates. Or something like that.
Or like sliding,
book me here.
Yeah, sliding scale or like whatever. If you're
something like that. Because most of them hit you up through DMs, correct?
Yeah, oh yeah, for sure.
So set up an automatic. There's one called like ManyChat.
Yeah.
Have them go to a scheduler.
Yeah.
And then you can see that it's a paid service.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
that might cut out some of the bullshit.
Oh yeah, it's so annoying. Yeah. It's just like, dude, I don't have time. Like, if I did that for everybody, like, what the fuck, dude? Like, I work a full-time job and this shit. Like, I can barely handle my own shit.
Right. And people think they're probably the only people reaching out, but they're not. Obviously, there are a lot.
No, there's not. Yeah, no.
As I told you off air, and I wanted you to have the same reaction when we were going.
Yeah.
Skylar has almost a year.
Yeah, that's fucking wild. Like, wild. Respectfully.
Respectfully.
Yeah,
Tanky. We're not talking shit about your daddy.
Respectfully.
Nate is one of the only people that saw Skylar while he was fully using.
I saw you while he was like, yeah. And
did I seem fucked up too? I mean, not fucked up like loaded, but like upset.
You were manic.
Was I really?
Yeah.
How? More so than normal?
You were just, more so than normal. Okay. You were just like trying to do this and this, and then you were like trying to like figure out where Skylar was and and it was just like.
Yeah. Well, like that day that we were interviewing Tracy Helton and he was missing.
Yeah.
You know, and constantly checking the Life 360.
Yeah.
I did not think he would get sober.
Yeah.
I didn't.
It's crazy.
I know you never know, but I didn't.
Well.
And I remember calling, actually, you. Mm-hmm. So everyone says don't give him money. Mm-hmm. Of course, everyone says that. Mm-hmm. And so his current sobriety date is September 2nd. On September 1st, he called me. He had no phone. He'd been missing for months. And I got a random call from a number in Mexico. And I knew it was him. And I answered. And he wanted me to cash app him $50 to get back. And I remember thinking, well, I know he's not going to use it to get back because I wouldn't. You know what I mean? I would get well. Mm-hmm. And I hadn't been sending him any money at that time. But my heart broke for him. He was sick. I could tell he was scared because he was also in full-blown meth psychosis. CIA's following me. FBI's following me. Bad. He was scared, and I was thinking I would send him money. Right. And I remember asking a couple of people, and of course, everyone was like, no, don't. And I asked you. Mm-hmm. And I said, I know I shouldn't. And you said, no, you need to do what you can live with. And I was like, you know what? You're right. I don't think I can live with leaving him stranded in Mexico. And then you said, you're like, man, he's probably dehydrated as fuck. He needs some water. And I just started cracking up laughing. And you were like snorting all that Ritalin and TJ. Man, that motherfucker's dehydrated. And I just started cracking up laughing. And I was like, he probably is dehydrated. And I cash apped him 40 and he came back.
Yeah.
I cash apped him 40 thinking I'd never see him again. He's going to die down there.
Just imagine what, like, crazy, like, if we thought about, like, what would happen if you did.
If I didn't. I've asked him that.
Yeah. But we don't know, though. You know,
right.
We don't know.
Right. I have asked him, what if I didn't? Yeah. And he has robbed people in the past, but he's older now. He has a strike. Mm-hmm. He went to prison. He's older. And I don't know that he would have used violence to rob someone. I can't even picture him doing that. I don't know if you can.
No.
The versions of him that did like home invasions and that went to prison, I can't even imagine that version of him.
No,
you know?
I don't. Yeah.
Right?
No, I don't know if I don't think he's got it in him anymore.
I don't either.
Not that he's not about it or whatever.
Right.
He's just,
yeah.
He's just not there.
No, not at all.
Yeah.
And so he said probably what he would have done is just kill himself. Yeah. Because he was
very plausible.
That's probably what he would have done.
With his situation.
With his situation. The car was out of gas.
I don't think you ever told me this before.
Really?
No.
Yeah. I mean, I didn't ask him for like a while because I didn't believe he would even stay sober.
No, I don't think you told me that when you called me about that. And I told
I didn't know that yet.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even know that. Yeah. I just thought, he certainly didn't say that. Yeah. He just said, I need help. And I was like, oh my God, okay, I don't know what I'm going to do. And he didn't say that. Months later, because I was still I mean, we were separated. Like, I was going to divorce him. You know, I was talking to a lawyer about, like, can I divorce someone that's missing? How do I do that? You know?
Yeah.
So I was like, we're still kind of not together, but, like, you can come up here. I'm going to help you get into a detox. And then this is the problem with so many people. He didn't have insurance. You can't just go to detox. You ran into that problem too.
Yeah.
And so when people are like, pull yourself up, where do you pull yourself up? You can't just go to detox. They aren't free. And the free ones have a waiting list. So we took him to CASA and got him on the waiting list and called every day for 3 weeks. Where was he going to go for 3 weeks? I let him stay down here. So anyways, I didn't think we were even going to stay together. And then as time went on, he clearly was serious. He did get a job. He got a sponsor. He started going to meetings, all the things. Like he, you know, and then at some point after a few months, I was like, all right, let's like work this out, you know? And at some point I said, what would you have done if I didn't send you the money? I mean, you were in TJ. Would you have robbed somebody? I'm thinking he probably would have robbed someone. And he was like, no, I can't do that anymore. You know what I mean? Like, I can't do that anymore. I mean, my plan was just kill myself down there.
Damn.
I know.
Well, I'm glad you texted me or called me or whatever you did. Like, damn.
I know. But I think maybe that's why I felt that too. Because he had asked before and I wouldn't have done it. You know,
right? Maybe you did. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's because I made you laugh. Maybe right? I don't know.
Yeah, that's exactly what you said. You were like, no, you have to do what you can live with. And I was like, all right, that makes sense to me. And then you said, man, he's in TJ. I said, yeah, he's snorting Ritalin. Yeah, and you said, man, that motherfucker's dehydrated. He needs water more than he needs anything else. And I was crossing the street to the Albertsons right here. I remember where I was.
Yeah.
And I just started cracking up laughing. And I was like, you're probably right. I've told him that story. And he's like, I was. You know?
He's probably like, thank God she called fucking Nate.
Got a Gatorade. Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he's going to have a year.
That's fucking insane.
I know. He's going to record an episode when he has a year.
Okay.
Because he's volunteered before, but I just never wanted to I never really wanted to put himself, and you know, he's not a speaker.
No, he's quiet.
He's very quiet. In fact, I told him a few weeks ago, I was like, if I interview you, you know you're going to have to talk
Give
words.
him some fucking pre-workout.
Yeah, I should.
Yeah.
And he was like, I know. And I'm like, okay, you have to say words.
Yeah.
Because there are times when we'll be talking, we'll be sitting in the car, and I'll be like, can you say something to me? Because you know how much I talk. And I'd be like, what are you? And he's like what? And I'm like, I don't know. We're both looking out the window. What are you thinking about? I'm thinking about this. And he'll be like, I mean, I wasn't thinking about much. God damn it.
I'm the same way.
Sometimes I think that's the difference between men and women too. Because I had an ex say that once, the guy that I did all my using with.
Yeah.
One time I was looking at him and I was like, can you talk to me? And he said, about what? And I said, I don't know. What are you thinking about right now? And he said, he was like, there is nothing going on upstairs at all. And I remember thinking, that is so sad and true.
Yeah.
He did not have a lot of going. Now, Skylar's very smart.
Yeah.
I shouldn't say Evan wasn't smart, but anyways.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, it's just, that's what we do.
So, anything else you want to share before I let you go?
I think that's really it. I can't really think of anything.
I mean, all I wanted to talk about was I wanted to read the NDPEs.
Yeah.
Christina's was hilarious. It was blue.
Yeah.
Check in with you.
Yeah.
You seem good again.
Yeah, I feel good. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I feel healthy.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel like I'm doing good. I think I'm doing good. I don't know.
I think you are too.
Yeah.
You're in a stable, good living situation. Yeah. You're happy with where you're at, right?
Oh, yeah. Enjoy it. Yeah. I mean, I'm doing things that I enjoy. I mean, hopefully starting like the new job soon.
The LLC, or what do you mean by new job?
Well, the LLC, and like hopefully I get that contract with that music festival, because that's going to be that.
Oh, right. Wait, is it Park City or a different one?
I forgot what it's like an EDM festival. It's in Idlewood.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like a 3-day festival in like August or whatever. But if that happens, that'll probably be like a domino
effect.
Is
it EDC?
No,
is that what it's called?
No.
Okay.
It's some like it's like a newer-ish festival.
But yes, what you just said. If that happens, it'll be like a domino effect where you start to get to do all of them.
Yeah. And so there's that, and then like the LLC thing for like consulting. But the job, like this would be like my. I don't know how many. It might be 2 or 3 days a week. They've not really clarified that, but it would be like drug checking with the FDR machine.
Okay.
You've seen it I put it in my story.
Yeah.
You've seen it before. Yeah. So just like drug checking.
Yeah, which is what you That's one of the things I know that you really want to do.
Yeah,
is to be able to use that thing.
Yeah.
A mass spectrometer?
Yeah, it's not a mass spectrometer.
I only know that because of NCIS.
Yeah, that checks out. Yeah, you and your fucking crime shit. What is it with women love some crime shit?
I actually really... I'm not that... I know that's common, though.
Yeah.
But I don't listen to any of the murder podcasts or anything. But I did really like NCIS.
Yeah, I feel like we need to throw yet.
No.
Yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's kind of like that. It's just a little different. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But it's... I don't know. It's cool. It's interesting. It's intriguing. I don't know. I get to see drugs and shit, so that's cool, too.
That's fun.
Yeah.
It keeps you on that edgy side of life.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah. To me, it's not. I don't know. I've never... I mean, I've gotten samples for like, I don't know, a year now. Not
You've
long.
never used them.
Never used them.
So.
Never used them. I mean, I seen like some of the most fire blow the other day.
Edgy, not risking you. I mean, edgier side of the world.
Oh, yeah.
Living in that space.
Oh, yeah. I enjoy it. It's fun.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The edgier side of just like life in general.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I like that space,
Yeah,
though.
out on the edge.
Yeah.
The grimy side of life.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. I like that space.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just like being in it.
Yeah.
And then like, obviously like not partaking in it, but I just think it's like, I don't know. What did I tell you? The book says you can go anywhere you want to go and do what other men do. And I didn't make the book. I didn't make the rules. The book told me I could.
I love that. When you said that to me, that's one of the funniest things you have ever said to me ever.
Yeah.
The book says I can go where other men go.
And do whatever I want to do.
Yeah.
And not have to worry about it.
Well, that turns out to be true.
Yes. It's very true. It's my experience. So I don't know. I just like living like that. And then, like, you know what I mean? I like telling people that like you can do that. You know what I mean?
Totally.
It doesn't bother me. But as I was saying, I've seen the most fire blow I'd seen in like a long...
How did you know it was good by looking at it?
Yeah, they pulled it straight off the fucking brick.
Off a brick?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, and they opened it, and I was like, it's like, pow! I was like, what the fuck, dude? Like,
I never got to do like good brick coke.
Yeah.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. No, you could... Yeah, it was like it... Like,
I did some okay shit in L.A.
Yeah.
Or Georgia. Athens, I had better coke for sure. Yeah. Than L.A. I don't know why, but...
Yeah. But that smell just like, I mean, open... Like, I wasn't even near it. You know what I mean?
That's crazy.
And it was like it was under my nose.
That's crazy.
And I was like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
Like, but I don't know, it doesn't bother me.
Go where other men go?
Yeah, I wasn't like, yeah, I'm not staying up till the birds come up. No.
No. Not interested anymore.
No, I'm good on that. Like,
Yeah.
I like to stay out like late at night. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
that's very different than seeing it come up from the other side when you're feeling like shit. Your nose is stuffed.
Yeah.
Can't fucking breathe.
Yeah.
Head spinning.
Yeah.
So tired.
Got a bloody nose.
It's awful.
Yeah.
It's awful.
Yeah, I'm not down
and that's
for that.
all I remember from cocaine. At some point, my brain, thank God, rewarded me with, I no longer think cocaine fun talking. I think cocaine the next day feeling like shit.
Yeah.
That's the correlation that my brain makes neurologically
yeah,
now.
that's what my brain does too.
Yes.
So yeah, I was just
and
like
meth too. That's the connection I make.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I'm like, damn. Like I'm like, I'm sure that's good. And like, I was excited.
Sure.
I'm excited
Probably
for
right.
you. know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
have a great time
For 15 minutes.
Yeah, you know what I mean, but not for me.
Right.
You know what I mean. So I was just like, but I don't know. It's just cool. You get to see like things.
Yeah.
You get to like, I get to build relationships with people that are like on that side of it and like do some cool shit. So.
Well, and you'll always, who knows where that kind of stuff goes.
I don't know.
to.
I just like to see if it's possible to like build a relationship with them and just be like, I don't know. Some dude asked me the other day. He was like, because he was like interested in it, and he was like, well, what are you gonna do if you're around some jailbirds or like some gangster motherfuckers or whatever, and they're like, all sketched out or whatever, like, are you the cops or whatever? And I was like, listen, bro, like, here's what we'll do. We can all just get fucking naked. You know what I mean?
You don't have a wire.
Yeah, I don't have a wire. I was like, we can just get fucking naked. Like, no phones, none of that shit. And like, everybody's just naked and we do what we got to do. And then like, we can get dressed and shit or like whatever. Like,
no one has ever thought that though, right?
No, I've never been in that situation yet. You know what I mean? But, But in this situation is a little bit different. I can't really say.
Okay.
You know what I mean? But, but I try to make it as like easy as possible. Cause I'll just be like, just put it in a cup and tell me where it's at. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to be there.
I see.
Or like,
Yeah.
you can wear a fucking shiesty or like whatever. You know what I mean? Like whatever you got to do to feel safe. Like,
right.
That's cool.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Or like whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, or like send somebody else. Like I don't really care.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming by.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Everybody's going to be super happy to see you again.
I know.
And I'm super happy to see you
well,
again.
thank you. Yeah, it's good to see you.
And I'm glad we got to be in this space.
Yeah.
And not sharing a microphone.
Yeah.
How nice is this, though?
It's pretty sick.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like comfortable talk. It's, it's great.
Yeah. It's, I don't know the word. It's, the feng shui is good. Does that
you think, too?
Yeah, I think the feng shui is good. Yeah, it's pretty chill.
Good.
I like it.
Well, thanks, man.
You're welcome. Tank, do you have any words?
Oh, he did growl. Put it back. See if he does it again. You want to say something? You're so cute.